So as you can see, we've been up to something. That book cover that you just saw, Colors of Courage, it's a part of something bigger, Coloring for Cures, that just launched during Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October of 2025. And Lisa's going to share a little bit about how she has worked to convert the pain of cancer into something of deep purpose that is here to not only help people through the journey, but help in finding cures, not only for cancer, but other types of disease as well. And we're very, very excited to be announcing this to all of you. We got a few more updates on what it means and how you can get involved.
So this project, which I have some notes here because I tend to ramble, because this isn't my comfort zone. Darren's very good about speaking and I prefer to be behind the camera. So I have some notes here. And essentially, Coloring for Cures is turning pain into purpose, taking a difficult situation and using that to help others. And I think throughout this journey, we have viewed or turned the mindset from why is this happening to me to why is this happening for me. And that's really impacted our decisions that we've made throughout the treatment process and after. And the idea of creating a coloring book stems from the healing impact the coloring had on me personally and us as a couple. During treatment, there were a lot of times that I was so sick that I could barely make it from the bed to the restroom. And there were other times where I could make it downstairs, and some days all I could do was color. And I learned that that was quite healing for me. So I would put on an audiobook or I would put on a podcast and I would sit with my blanket and I would color. And it helped me because I can tend to be quite heady. And it helped quiet all of the noise that was going on in my head. And I could just be present and focused and not worrying about tomorrow or not worrying about the kids or, everything that as a mom, a lot of times you're taking on everything, right? So coloring really helped me focus. And I wanted to put something together to be able to help others who are in a similar situation. And the coloring book isn't just coloring, it's also journaling. And journaling, because that was kind of went hand in hand. I would color and I would journal. And I think it's important to process all the emotions and not let them fester, because I feel like a lot of times the built up emotions of things, I'm a people pleaser. So built up emotions can lead to dis-ease in your body. So I figured it's important not only to color, but to also get all those emotions out.
You'll see this is just some of the journal section of it, which is tied to an image. And I'll just give you an example of one of the questions that's in here as a prompt. And we've actually had people that have now received this that aren't going through cancer, but are going through other challenges, other diseases, other health issues, and they've actually found the journaling and the coloring helpful. Even though it's not the same story, it's a parallel story and it's beneficial. So one of the questions that's in here that pictures a nurse, which you can't see, in that is, who are the helpers in your story? Write or draw about their impact. Another one, which is again Preston's image that's here, says, what message of encouragement would you give your future self? So it's framed in these different ways that might be aspirational, because right now it might feel like you're stuck in the mud, like in a really challenging place. But as I think Winston Churchill said this, if you're in hell, keep on going. That's what he said, right?
And it might even be something that you use during treatment or after. Maybe you're not in a space to process everything that you've gone through. So I know for me, survival mode was how I got through treatment. And then I didn't start to process everything that happened until afterwards. And so the book, I'm hoping, would be something that you can work on, and then you would eventually have like a neat little package to reflect on later and see how far you've come. So I am almost 2 years out from my last chemo. And so a lot has happened. And as you get further from the active survival mode treatment, you start to forget all the things. So it's a way to capture what you went through and to honor that.
What you've overcome, what you've overcome. And this is one of the things that's interesting is the scars are a reminder, not of the bad parts, but actually that you've overcome.
Mm-hmm.
And it just depends on how you frame it and how you look at it. And that's a choice that you get to make. And sometimes through the act of journaling and coloring and looking through that, you can open up that door of, again, to Lisa's point, why is this happening for me? Mm-hmm. Not an easy question to ask while you're in it. While you're in the thick of it. I was asking it as well. Why is this happening for us every day? And it was a really difficult question to ask every day. But I've learned over other periods of adversity and different challenges and things I've had to overcome in life. Keep asking that question, mm-hmm. and you will have your answer, because you will start focusing on seeing the purpose. And we've definitely come together in understanding this, because it's this whole idea, without getting too into the details, but it was born during our 15-year wedding anniversary trip. Lisa was able to color while she was there, and it connected the memory to, I did this during chemo. Heck, we did this during chemo. Helpful. It was a chance for us to connect. It was a chance for us to restore. What if I could take my love, or her love, for photography and turn this into something that could help people? Mm-hmm. And beyond that, it's not only the books that help people through the journey. A portion of the proceeds are actually then donated to organizations that are working on cures for different types of disease. One of the big ones that we work with was the Create Cures Foundation, that was super impactful for nutrition and diet for Lisa when she was taking in the chemo, which was helping to eradicate the bad stuff in the body, but there was toxicity from that. So it was, how do we move back to food as medicine and get the right food into the system to help flush
the toxins
those out? So I became quite the rapid learner of what foods I needed to give her. Heck, the same foods we might have been giving her, what order to feed her those foods in, because of the impacts that it would have in reducing her sugar levels, or improving the way that it was clearing out her body, digestion, different things. So they were an incredible organization, still are, and they have many incredible resources. That's the Create Cures Foundation.
And what I loved about Create Cures Foundation was all of the advice they were giving was tailored specifically towards my type of cancer. So I was dealing with a very aggressive triple negative breast cancer. So all of the recommendations they came up with were through that lens, which I think was important. And so I worked with them throughout chemo, throughout treatment, and have done follow-ups since post. And it's been really impactful on not just myself, but how we view food, nutrition with our whole family. So there's, just to give an example, I'm sure many of you know that processed meats are not great for you. And I came from a very high protein mindset. I was doing CrossFit. I needed to eat all the protein. And so I would take little roll-ups of deli meat because it was protein, right? And come to find out through this process, that is terrible for you. So we've really altered kids' lunches. We don't use deli meat anymore. So it's just been very impactful, and setting the kids up from an early age of knowing all this, because I feel like we're learning so much as adults. How do we set them up to learn as young kids?
Absolutely. That's a big part of it. So again, the Pain to Purpose is not only helping people when they're going through the journey or post-journey, but it's also intended to be a portion of financial giving back to make sure that there's hope for, again, creating cures in some of these different spaces. Now, there's multiple coloring books that we have. I think we've already said there's 3 that have actually been launched outside of Colors of Courage. There's 2 Christmas coloring books on New York that have been launched, which are there and that are available. You can find this on the coloringforcures.com website. You can follow us at Coloring for Cures on Instagram. And, if you do grab a book and you color, be sure to share it with us. Send us an email, share it on Instagram, tag it. We want to share those images. And if it's been helpful in healing or helping you through any process, whether it's the breast cancer series that we're going to continue building into 2026, or if it's one of the Christmas coloring books or a host of other ones that we're planning on building out through the coloring for Cures protocol here, we just want to see how that's impacting you. And who is this book, Colors of Courage, your first book? Who do you think this can benefit the most?
I see this as helping. It's breast cancer specific for our journey, but it's intended to be used for anybody who's going through a difficult period, illness wise. Families, our kids have loved coloring it. And what I like about this book is it's taking actual photos from our journey and turning it into inspiration for others, which I know we mentioned in our previous video. The cover is from an image that Preston drew during my treatment. So it's highly personal, but the feedback that we're getting is it's helpful not only to somebody dealing with cancer, but other illnesses as well. So I think that was the intention, is we want it to be impactful for whatever you're going through.
It's also been helpful for caretakers as well. So if you're in a caretaker role, you're supporting somebody through a hard walk, it's like that. It can be something that's useful if somebody is going through infusion, which is the chemo process. If they're just wanting to have something to do to take their mind off of it, that is all part of it. So coloringforcures.com. That's where you can find out more of the backstory. That's where you can find the link to all of the books that
the current books, the future books to come.
And one of the things that we are going to be working on in 2026 is also being able to have a series of these that is actually more caretaker specific. So it's going to be a little bit more from my lens of the whole notion of, when you're on an airplane, they tell you, hey, if there's a problem, make sure your oxygen mask is on first. So you can make sure you take care of your kids, your spouse, your friends, whatever. It's going to be through that lens. And it's going to be some elements that are for the caretakers that are out there.
And I feel
what
like
it looks
you
like.
did, sorry to interrupt, but I feel like you did such a good job of taking care of yourself and keeping the routines that you had already established throughout the journey to be able to not only help me, to help the kids, but to not lose yourself.
That's right.
So I feel like it's important to I want to capture all of that into a similar book for caregivers, because I feel like that is a need for a lot of people.
That's right. So for the caregiver side, there's also going to be one that's a little bit more targeted towards kids, like how the kids were able to help. It'll even have some tips for if you're a parent breaking a really heavy diagnosis to kids. We are no experts on this. We are no gurus. We are no thought leaders. We're just sharing a very human experience that we went through and things that we did that seemed to work for us. And when we've shared it, people have said, that's super helpful. Our whole goal and mission and purpose is to help people through a time of deep challenge and deep pain, and how to ground in ways that can help you navigate through that process. So that's all in the works for 2026. We're actually also hoping to be able to create small versions of these coloring books that won't have everything, but might have, a handful of images, a handful of journal prompts that'll be just kind of a micro PDF that'll be out there, that'll just be available as a resource. So, it can still help people even if you're not buying a coloring book. It won't have the full coloring book, because we do have the financial side of trying to grow this to help more and more people beyond cancer. So coloringforcures.com and Coloring for Cures on Instagram. Message us, let us know what you think. We can't wait to hear about you utilizing these and hopefully helping you or other people.
I think that covers it.
We'll leave you at that.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks
for
watching.
your support.